Armed Services Editions, books made available to our fighting men and women during World War II in Europe and in the Pacific. Hi, I'm Gary Lovisi. We're going to take a look at some Armed Service Editions in honor of Memorial Day, which is a holiday in the United States where we salute our fallen veterans and the people who have fought for us in the military. And these are some of the books that they were reading in World War II. They were passed around from foxhole to foxhole amongst the soldiers. They were given out free, and they were published free for the armed services by the publishing companies. Starting around 1942-43, they were various sizes. Some of them were this smaller size here, and some of them were a little bit bigger. And then later on, they were regular sized paperbacks. But the early ones were like this. They were bound on the short side, and they were read. There were two columns so that you could read them and pass them around, such as on this. Okay, so they had two columns of type. And what the soldiers used to do when they were in the foxholes, a lot of times they would find a really good book that was interesting, a Western or a mystery, and they would pass the pages around. They'd rip the book up and take a portion of it, read it, pass it around, take another portion. And so a lot of these aren't, not all that, while there were a lot of them printed, they're not all that common, and they're not all that common in really nice shape. These books are 70, 75, almost 80 years old now. So, and they were published by the Council of Books in Wartime, which was a combination of all American publishers. These went to American soldiers, and England, Britain had a similar kind of situation with books to their troops. And they all say they have the round logo with Armed Service Edition. They have the original hardcover book, and then this is the complete book, not a digest. And on the back, something about the book. Generally the same format in all of them. A lot of really great stuff was published in these series, and I'm just going to show you a few of them now. So we'll just go quickly through some of the classics. She by H. Rider Haggard. Great Lost World adventure. Nobody Lives Forever by W.R. Burnett. Classic noir crime book. The Great Bastard and Other People by Will Cuppy. Will Cuppy was a humorist in the 30s and 40s, and he wrote a lot of comedic and satirical books and stories. The Outlaw Years by Robert M. Coates. This is a true story of the land pirates of the Natchez Trace. Natchez Trace was a area in, I believe, Tennessee, and it was a very, in the early 1800s, a very wild area. That was the Wild West in the 1820s, Tennessee and Kentucky and like that. Next book is Not Quite Dead Enough by Rex Stout, perennial mystery author. Another great mystery author is Dorothy B. Hughes and her mystery novel, A Delicate Ape. Green Thoughts and Other Strange Tales by John Collier is fantasy and horror stories. And Deadlier Than the Male, a mystery by James Gunn, is an incredible hard noir book. This is the only book that he wrote, and it's not James Gunn, the science fiction author. This is incredible. It was made into one of the classic noir films, but this is a really great book. And you can see that the books that they chose were quality in whatever genre they were. for the servicemen. The next one is Eddie and the Archangel Mike. That's a fantasy. Deadline at Dawn, mystery by William Irish or Cornell Woolrich. I'm just going to move these up a little bit, and we'll get to another group. Fan favorite, New York Yankees by Frank Graham. Book about the New York Yankees. Here's another great one. Lou Gehrig, another biography by Frank Graham. And this one has the story of Lou Gehrig. And here he's wearing his Columbia University, because he went to Columbia University, so this is his college baseball uniform. And as you can see, this one's not in such great condition because it's hard to find them in really good condition these days. And when you can, it's especially the books, the really collectible ones, baseball books, mysteries, crime, westerns, science fiction, fantasy. There's a Tarzan, there's two Tarzans, there's a Superman book in the series, and a lot of other ones that are quite collectible and can run you a bit of money. But these are really cool. They started off A1, and they were numbered with the A series, and then later on with number series. And this one is the game they played by Harry Grayson, story of other baseball players, all different heroes of the past baseball from different teams. The next one is number 793, The Barefoot Mailman, a novel by Theodore Pratt. It's a kind of a mystery crime, and then you see the back cover is the same, and the insides. So this is what they look like on the inside, and this is from 1943. And chapter 1 starts here, and this is how you would read them. Kind of different from the books that we have today. These went to all the servicemen around the world. Next one is King Solomon's Mines by H. Rider Haggard, another fantasy novel. And then we got some westerns, which were very, very popular. The Heritage of the Desert by Zane Grey. And Trail's End by William McLeod Rain. Another western. Westerns were very, very popular. Westerns at that time were probably the most popular genre. And then maybe mysteries. Science fiction had not come into its own yet. And fantasy had not either. Next one is The Golden Rooms, a historical novel by Vardis Fisher, very, very popular novelist whose works are, some of them, they're historical, and some of them are based in a long time ago in the past, where they almost become like kind of fantasy, because he's dealing with myth and mythic concepts, and they're really, really well done. And the next one is a classic, and it's a thin little one, The Postman Always Rings Twice by James M. Cain. Great novel. Next is Not Too Narrow, Not Too Deep, a fantasy adventure pulp novel by Richard Sale. Then they had other books, different kinds of things. Esquire's Jazz Book of 1944, edited by Paul Edward Miller, number 676. So this is a book on jazz. Gunman's Chance, a Western by Luke Short. Selected Short Stories of Adventure by John Russell. John Russell wrote a lot of adventure stories. They weren't really pulp stories exactly, but they had a adventure, action, pulpiness to them. Silvertip Search is a Western by Max Brand. And Patrick Henry and the Frigate's Keel by Howard Fast, short stories, historical adventure. And the last one we have is number 911 from around 1944, Man Trap, novel by Sinclair Lewis. So there you got a little, very little smattering of the armed service editions that the publishers, consortium of publishers and the government made available to our military overseas in World War II. There's probably over 1,000 of these books published in every genre by a lot of different authors, some of them quite collectible, and some of them very hard to find. But they're very, very cool, and it's kind of a nice thing, I think, to take a look at these books that were made available to our servicemen at a time and a day for tomorrow when we honor our servicemen who paid the greatest price to keep us free and to fight for us and to keep liberty alive. This is a time when these books were being published. Our servicemen were out there and they were fighting against the Nazis. They were fighting against the Germans, and it was a grim, tough time, early days of the war. And books like this made it possible for our soldiers to forget about the dangers that they were under and maybe escape a little bit into some good fiction, some good stories, and maybe lighten things up a little bit for them. So in that case, I think that these really go good with the Memorial Day setting, and I hope you enjoyed this look, and I hope your Memorial Day is a very happy one, and we can count our blessings. Thank you. If you loved this video, give us a thumbs up and a like, and see you next time.